So I'm super happy with everything.
We are one of the best. This is the IT world. Make you use of that more, and then you can become the top bank in Ghana and even extend.
Exuberance. Show more energy in whatever you do.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy birthday, GCB.
Happy anniversary, Mom. 70 years. Happy birthday.
Wish you the best, that all things work together for your good.
Nyami Mom, continue. Mama, Jumani, Kessie, Mom, Yami, Shiram, you must have phone.
For about 3 years now.
If I can remember, it's more than 25 years.
Long time, the inception, yeah.
I think for the past 20 years.
Almost 25 good years now.
40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
A month now.
20 years.
20 years. More than 10 years.
I can't really tell the exact years. I was 18 years.
I've started with GCB when I was in the military. I was a corporal.
Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
With the Carnation Industrial Area branch, anytime I call the manager, he's ever ready to assist. I don't need to drive here.
We've had many great experiences with the staff, the branch manager as well. My father got sick a while back and the branch manager and the staff reached out to us, made sure that his accounts and affairs were being taken care of. And frankly,
It's been lovely. I always get great customer service and everyone is very helpful to me, so I'm very satisfied with that.
I couldn't have found a better bank to work with.
For about 3 years now.
Since 2012.
Long time, the inception, yeah. 40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
20 years.
More than 10 years. Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
Since 2001.
Just to continue the way you guys do, I think so far I don't have any complaints. I'm super happy with everything.
We are one of the best. This is the IT world. Make you use of that more, and then you can become the top bank in Ghana and even extend.
Exuberance. Show more energy in whatever you do.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy birthday, GCB.
Happy anniversary, Mom. 70 years, happy birthday.
Wish you the best, that all things work together for your good.
Nyame Mom, continue. Mama, Jumani, Kessie, Mom, Nyami, Shiram, you must see for Nina.
GCB is 70 years old, from Bank of the Gold Coast to Ghana Commercial Bank, and now GCB Bank. Today, GCB Bank has over 186 branches across the nation. With GCB, our customers are priority, right from SMEs, salaried workers to large institutions.
We are Kairos Corporate Communication, congratulating every staff of GCB Bank PLC across the country. Through you, countless opportunities have been created, dreams have been made to come alive and true. We must say we are super privileged to be associated with GCB Bank PLC and its wonderful people. We wish you greatness in the years ahead as you continue impacting generations. Happy Platinum Anniversary, GCB Bank PLC.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate GCB on its 70th anniversary. I wish continued success in the years to come.
We pray that GCB Bank will continue to grow in leaps and bounds, continue to provide excellent financial services to their numerous customers. Here is wishing you many more years of growth, many more years of industry leadership. Happy 70th anniversary.
And I'm taking this opportunity to congratulate the management of GCB for their 70th anniversary. But I still believe that there are more potential within the market which they are yet to explore. So they need to do more. And I take the opportunity to say AICO for everything that they are doing for their customers.
GCB is a leading bank. I feel very secure. They are very proactive. I like working with GCB.
It's a bank that has been in the system for a long time. So celebrating 70 years means 70 years of trust, 70 years of reliability. So it is very safe for me to save and continue to work with GCB.
On the event of their 70th anniversary, as we go along, I wish them the very best, and I hope that on their way to dominance as they keep soaring, we'll reach there together.
ohun ni asem bia any GCB. Madam say congrats to Efrisiapo GCB.
Happy 70th anniversary. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray! GCB Bank, your bank for life.
For about 3 years now.
Since 2012.
Long time, the inception. Yeah. 40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
20 years.
More than 10 years. Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
Since 2001.
Just to continue the way you guys do, I think so far I don't have any complaints. I'm super happy with everything.
We are one of the best. This is the IT world. Make you use of that more, and then you can become the top bank in Ghana and even extend.
Exuberance. Show more energy in whatever you do.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy birthday, GCB.
Happy anniversary, Mom. 70 years. Happy birthday.
Wish you the best, that all things work together for your good.
Nyami Mom continue. Mama ejumani nye kesiye. Mu nyina nyami shira mu ne wasifu nyina.
For about 3 years now.
If I can remember, it's more than 25 years.
Long time, the inception, yeah.
I think for the past 20 years.
Almost 25 good years now.
40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
A month now.
20 years. 20 years.
More than 10 years.
I can't really tell the exact years. I was 18 years.
I've started with GCB when I was in the military. I was a corporal.
Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
With the Carnation Industrial Area branch, anytime I call the manager, he's ever ready to assist. I don't need to drive here.
We've had many great experiences with the staff, the branch manager as well. My father got sick a while back, and the branch manager and the staff reached out to us, made sure that his accounts and affairs were being taken care of. And frankly,
it's been lovely. I always get great customer service and everyone is very helpful to me, so I'm very satisfied with that.
I couldn't have found a better bank to work with.
For about 3 years now.
Since 2012.
Long time, the inception, yeah. 40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
20 years.
More than 10 years. Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
Since 2001.
Just to continue the way you guys do, I think so far I don't have any complaints. I'm super happy with everything.
We are one of the best. This is the IT world. Make you use of that more, and then you can become the top bank in Ghana and even extend.
Exuberance. Show more energy in whatever you do.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy birthday, GCB.
Happy anniversary, Mom. 70 years. Happy birthday.
Wish you the best, that all things work together for your good.
Nyami Mom, continue. Mama, Jumani, Kessie, Mom, Yami, Shiram, you must have phone.
GCB is 70 years old, from Bank of the Gold Coast to Ghana Commercial Bank, and now GCB Bank. Today, GCB Bank has over 186 branches across the nation. With GCB, our customers are priority, right from SMEs, salaried workers to large institutions.
Yeah, Kairos Corporate Communication, congratulating every staff of GCB Bank PLC across the country. Through you, countless opportunities have been created, dreams have been made to come alive and true. We must say we are super privileged to be associated with GCB Bank PLC. It's wonderful. We wish you greatness in the years ahead as you continue impacting generations. Happy Platinum Anniversary, GCB Bank PLC.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate GCB on its 70th anniversary. I wish continued success in the years to come.
We pray that GCB Bank will continue to grow in leaps and bounds, continue to provide excellent financial services to their numerous customers. Here is wishing you many more years of growth, many more years of industry leadership. Happy 70th anniversary.
And I'm taking this opportunity to congratulate the management of GCB for their 70th anniversary. But I still believe that there are more potential within the market which they are yet to explore. So they need to do more. And I take the opportunity to say AICO for everything that they are doing for their customers.
GCB is a leading bank. I feel very secure. They are very proactive. I like working with GCB. It's a bank that has been in the system for a long time. So celebrating 70 years means 70 years of trust, 70 years of reliability. So it is very safe for me to save and continue to work with GCB.
On the events of their 70th anniversary, as we go along, I wish them the very best, and I hope that on their way to dominance as they keep soaring, we'll reach there together.
ohun ni asem bia any GCB. Madam say congrats to Efrisiapo GCB.
Happy 70th anniversary. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray! GCB Bank, your bank for life.
For about 3 years now.
Since 2012.
Long time, the inception. Yeah. 40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
20 years.
More than 10 years. Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
Since 2001.
Just to continue the way you guys do, I think so far I don't have any complaints. I'm super happy with everything.
We are one of the best. This is the IT world. Make you use of that more, and then you can become the top bank in Ghana and even extend.
Exuberance. Show more energy in whatever you do.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy 70th anniversary.
Happy birthday, GCB.
Happy anniversary, Mom. 70 years, happy birthday.
Wish you the best, that all things work together for your good.
Nyami Mom, continue. Mama, Jumani, Kessie, Mom, Nyami Shram, you must have phone.
to our distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of us who have joined online. We are very happy that you have been able to join us. So on behalf of the Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Ms. Abnamwa, I want to officially welcome all of you to today's Fast Behind the Figures program. And this is a program that has been designed by the GSC for listed companies to update their stakeholders on their performance, market trends, and then the plans that they have ahead, and also for an opportunity to engage them and respond to some of the questions or concerns they may have about the company's operations. So today is the turn of GCB Bank PLC, and we are glad to have in our midst the Managing Director of GCB Bank PLC, Mr. Kofi Admako, and his executive team to deliver this presentation. Now, before I hand over to him, I want to introduce the GNC team who are here this morning. So we have the MD, Ms. Abnamwa. We have the head of listing and surveillance, Mrs. Harriet Basmosis. We have the head of IT, Mr. Eric Edifo. HR and admin manager, Mrs. Eileen Norte. Head of legal, Ms. Ekwia Oparibian Ponsa. We have, and myself, the head of marketing and PR. My name is Jerry Boachedankwa. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the executive team from GCB Bank. We have Mr. John, we have Mr. Socrates Afram, the Deputy Managing Director in charge of finance. We have Mr. Emmanuel Datelamte, Deputy Managing Director in charge of operations. We have Mr. John Adama, Executive Head Retail Banking. Mr. Eric Beku Kofi, Chief Digital and Marketing Officer. Mr. Teoflozai, Chief Risk Officer. Mr. Henry Nana Akwaboayebo, Head of Human Resource. Mr. Benjamin Che Amu, Head Corporate Compliance Department. Mr. Linus Kumi, Head Corporate Banking. Give us a wave, please, if you are here. And then we have Mr. George Fuachi, Head Commercial Banking. Mr. Jesse Jacinto, the Legal Counsel. Miss, sorry, my apologies. Mr. Abel Lomote, right, Chief Information Officer. Sina Kamagate, Chief Internal Auditor. Very powerful names. Francis Benatibi, then Head Strategy and Research Development. Mr. Frank Tinkran, Financial Controller. Mr. Muniru Mukhtar, Head Customer Service. Mr. Emmanuel Furidankwa, Head Support Services Department. Mr. Emmanuel Furidankwa, Head Support Service Department. Mr. Gibson Amfo, Head Business Performance, Finance Department. Mr. Dominic Kobina, Head Banking Operations Department. Madam Ama Ajimankusi Apo, Board Secretary. Madam Joyce Boating, Board Secretariat. FL Pamela Usu, Board Secretariat. Mr. Michael Rekun, Head Share Registry. Madam Wilhelmina Siama, Internal Audit Department. Mr. Adumako was from Strategy and Research Department. Mr. Kofi L. Ewuku, MD, DCB, Capital. Nana Ofori Newman, Head Project Office. Mr. Kofi Osei, SCB, Executive Business Manager, MD's Office. Dr. Stephen Hammond, Head Business Operation Optimization. Madam Juliet Oni, Business Manager, DMD Operations Office. Mr. Brady Amwa, Business Manager, Executive Director, Wholesale and Investment Banking. Mr. Neil Kai Nunu is a consultant from Leonard Yet Limited. And he came with his team, Isaac Kusi and Sharon. That's a very powerful team. Thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge all the players in the industry, the fund managers, the pension fund managers, corporate trustees, registrars, custodians, all the market participants, academia, Young Investor Network, and the general public. I want to acknowledge all of you and thank you very much for joining us for today's program. So I'll now want to hand over to the Managing Director of DCB Bank PLC, Mr. Kofi Adumaku, and his team to do as the honors by doing the presentation. So over to you, boss. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Next time, you leave GCB to introduce their own people. Otherwise, we'll give you names. We give you names like, what did you call him? Sainagamati. Yes. Anyway, so a very good morning to all of you. Good morning. Good. Madam Managing Director and Executive Management of the Ghana Stock Exchange, my own esteemed shareholders of GCB Bank PLC, prospective investors and analysts, academia, all market participants, ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to you all and a hearty welcome to all of you participating in this event of the facts behind the figures of GCB Bank PLC. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the setback from the domestic debt exchange program and all global uncertainties, which impacted the entire banking sector and GCB Bank's performance in 2022, I'm excited to be sharing with you a strong financial performance for the 9 months ended 30th September 2023. And I must say, I'm not only excited about the performance, but I am more excited about the fact that the bank, and to a large extent the industry, seems to have stabilized and is in recovery mode at this particular point in time. Our impressive performance is testament to the bank's resilience and dominance in the industry. It reflects the gains we have made in executing our three-pronged strategy of revenue growth and profitability, operational excellence, and people and talent. Our performance benefited from our intensified focus on capital preservation and the growth in CASA balances, current account and savings account balances, helped to strengthen our balance sheet resilience even further. Our commitment to providing superior client experience through our extensive branch network, complemented by our digital offerings, also contributed significantly to our performance. Amidst the economic challenges and heightened uncertainty, we'll continue to seek opportunities to deliver sustainable improvements in shareholder value, whilst we contain risk and cost. GCB will intensify efforts to accelerate revenue growth, profitability through new client acquisition, a strong focus on transaction banking, as well as prioritized and targeted investments in technology to achieve digital banking leadership in the industry. Our governance framework will remain a key focus to ensure a robust risk governance and compliance culture. Our plan to raise capital following shareholder approval at the 2022 AGM is well on course, and we anticipate this will be concluded in the coming year. Ladies and gentlemen, it won't be fair for me to talk and give brief opening remarks without touching on our impairments and our non-performing book. Our impairments and our non-performing book have been of great concern to the management of the bank and the board. And we have taken very strong measures, which you will soon see. And when we get into a discussion, for those of you who are interested, we can have a conversation about that. But I want to assure you that the board and management of the bank has taken this issue very seriously over the last few years. Today, the industry average of NPLs is about 20%, and we are about 20% as well. But 20% is high. 20% is high. And so, as you've seen in the Bank of Ghana report, the growth in impairment, growth in NPLs is of concern to the central bank and to the players in the industry. There are reasons why the situation is as of today, and we've taken steps to ensure that over the next couple of months to years, impairments and NPLs come within reasonable and tolerable margins. We are very much on course, like I said, to raising capital, to shore up our capital base. So our capital adequacy ratio comes within the Bank of Ghana requirement. We all know Bank of Ghana gave some forbearance of 10%, and GCB is just around there. But typical GCB, being a systemic bank, we always work to having a healthy buffer because of the role we play in the economy of Ghana. So we are going to work our way back to where we were before the debt exchange program. And hopefully, within the end of next year, we should be presenting very healthy capital adequacy ratios. So I will leave the stage right now for Mr. Afram, the Deputy Managing Director, Finance, to do his presentation. And I think pay attention to it, and let's have a very fruitful conversation thereafter. But rest assured, a year ago today, we were all very concerned about the future of the banking industry. Today, things look much clearer. I wouldn't want to say it's all well and good, and therefore we can go have a jolly happy day. There's a lot of hard work to be done. There's a lot to do around our risk appetite. There's a lot to do around our risk framework. Governance and compliance are the areas to focus on. And there's a lot of business also to do for our customers. Our customers have become very discerning. Their demands are very challenging, and it is only banks who anticipate what customers want will be the banks that will thrive through difficult periods like this. So again, thank you all for coming. I'm happy to see and hear that we have many more GCB interested persons online. We have many more analysts. We have many more customers and shareholders online. We look forward to a very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much. Mr. Afram, if you don't give him a round of applause, he won't come. Yeah.
So standing on existing protocols established, I want to say good morning to all of you for being here. For the next few minutes ahead of us, I will take you through GCB's performance for the third quarter. What I will not do in this presentation is to speak too much about the future. The reason being that GCB will hit the road soon to raise capital. So things around our forecast going to the medium term will come on that score. So this presentation will be limited to what has transpired till September, and maybe a glimpse of what December is likely to look like. And then I'll give a lot more time to your questions. I think with that, the presentation will be embellished. So I won't spend so much on the presentation itself. but a lot of time for Q&A that will help us understand the situation. As my MD did indicate, the bank has done very well. Year to September, our results have been great. Because of that, I'll give you the background, i.e. the macro environment within which we operated and the major drivers of the performance. He's spoken about the NPLs and the impairment. I'm sure you have questions, and those questions, we'll take them as and when they come. Sorry. It's not moving.
It is whilst you are waiting, I think there's one person we failed to introduce who's here, Mr. Samedu. Mr. Samedu is our executive director responsible for wholesale and investment banking. Mr. Samedu.
That's it. I think it's going. Okay.
Yeah, good. The camera.
So, point it to this. Yeah, I think this way. Either way. Okay, so thank you. And I have a team of my MD, the DMD Ops, my colleague, Executive Director, Wholesale Investment Banking, my business heads, Chief Risk Officer, all here, for which reason I said we'll spend a lot more time to talk about your questions. So what am I going to cover? GCB, you know us very much, so I won't spend time on that. But I'll give a bit of update on how we've implemented our strategy. Why I'm doing that is that implementation also contributed to what the results were. And that's the only reason why I'll spend some time to tell you some of the things we've done as far as the strategy implementation is concerned. And then the main focus of the financial numbers and some re-emphasizing the key things you need to take away. This will be summary of the points I have made earlier, but what you need to take away. If you forget everything I've said, some points you need to take away from this presentation. So GCB, you know us very well. We are Ghana's foremost indigenous bank with the largest network of branches and ATMs across the country. You agree with me that the last few years, you've seen a different GCB offering unique digital solutions. If you recall, the last 1 month, you've seen GCB introduce a new app with best-in-class features that I'm sure most of you there can attest to. And so GCB Bank, we've been moving in the right direction. We've been introducing technology. We've been going digital. We've become more modern than some of you think. And I will encourage each and every one of you to visit a GCB branch. Come experience. There are occasions people talk of GCB, but for the past 10 years, they've never experienced anything from GCB. So the best way to attest to this point I'm making, visit a GCB branch, buy a GCB product, interact with the GCB team, and see how different we look today, how competitive we are, and the fact that the network that we have, digital, physical, all come together to deliver superior service. Our vision remains the same. We want to be the leading bank in our markets. So we will not play in every market, but those that we choose to play in, our vision is to be the leader in that space. And so far, that leadership is being attained. What is our mission? We want to deliver tailor-made solutions to our clients, be it individuals, be it SMEs, be it corporates or state organizations. Over the years, GCB has been doing this service. In fact, why GCB was incorporated was to help indigenous businesses to grow. And so far, for 70 years that we've been in existence, that service has been carried through. That mandate has been well executed. And so when you talk of big corporates in this country, be it parastain, is to position ourselves so that the financial needs of individuals, the financial needs of commercial banks, commercial clients, the financial needs of corporates, commercial needs of SMEs are met. And so as a bank, we've been providing that, and our service offering covers the broad spectrum of all the financial services that you can think of. Trade, FX, pure credit, funded, non-funded, advisory, and that's how come we even have GCB Capital. So that broad range of services are being provided by GCB today. And I encourage each and every one of you to come test to this. When it comes to risk management, I'm sure you've heard that GCB has been ranked as the safest bank in Ghana. Why is this so? Because technology is leading the way today. Cyber is big. And as a bank, we've done the right investment in cybersecurity. Last time we met here, I told you about our SOC center, which is the best in class you can have. The good thing is that we've even joined the Forum for Responses of Cyber Incidents. We are the first in the country to do that. So we built the right risk framework to make sure as we deliver service to our clients, nothing untoward comes to shake us off the core. All these things are meant to protect the value of clients, customers, their deposits, and also to make sure we generate the right value for our shareholders. So, by way of update on the strategy, my MD did speak about the 3 pillars which are guiding the strategy: revenue growth and profitability, operational excellence, and then people and talent. So in those 3 quadrants, some key things have been done, and which are the ones I want to highlight at this point. When it comes to revenue growth, the bank has done over the years, and especially in 2023. Following the DDEP, you are very much aware that bonds that were paying in the region of 20-21%, the rates got reduced to about 9% on average. So that was an immediate takeaway of revenue from the bank. And so to keep our revenue growing, what the bank did was to diversify. Since lent, we diversified. Non-funded income became strong. And so you see that our FX business, we are partnering with the right MTOs, the right fintechs to build that, and that is already showing good results by way of FX trading income. We also boosted our treasury team, the global markets team as we call it, to be very active in the fixed income space. Already that is also showing very positive results. So the idea of diversifying and getting new clients, diversifying the revenue sources is already coming stream. Fixed income, FX, trade, e-charges, because of the collection of e-services we provide. And on top of that, advisory, we've diversified the revenue source, and that is the one which is still leading to the growth in revenue, notwithstanding the shortfalls as I spoke about. Thank you. When it comes to operational excellence, what we've done is that we've created focus teams whose businesses or whose mandate is to just be responsive to clients' needs, just to be there at any point in time. You can call on them. In the service delivery process, there will always be service failures. It is part and parcel of every service delivery. But what we've done is to create teams that are dedicated to providing certain services. Trade, transaction processing. All these things are working. So far, so good for us. And so you see that our responsiveness to clients' complaints has very much improved to the extent that the recent customer ratings of the bank, we've seen improvement in 2023 relative to the previous periods. And so these are the things that are done as of now, in terms of the strategy implementation and how they are helping to translate into the numbers. When it comes to people and talent, we have fully embedded performance management in GCB. And so today, your existence in the bank is justified by your contribution. And so whether you get an increment, whether you get bonus paid to you, it depends on what you contribute to the kitty. And that is helping to make everybody active, to make everybody contribute their quota to the bank's cost. Again, in terms of developing people, in terms of training, I remember when we had our AGM, there was a question to us that why is our training budget so high? What I told the gathering was that because GCB, High Street is a Wall Street, if you like. Our High Street is a Canary Wharf. So everything that GCB does, High Street is a head office. And so what the competition can do by trading on the resources of their parents, GCB does not have that kind of opportunity. And so as a result of that, we have to develop ourselves. We have to develop our own team to be able to compete effectively. And I'm happy to announce that so far, so very good. Those training programs are going very well. I've spoken a lot about the digital transformation. Thank you. I've spoken so much about the digital transformation. We are not fully there, but already what we've done, we've seen the results. So when we get fully there, what sometimes I ask myself is how would GCB look like? And so things are going in the right direction, fully automating, making things digital as much as practicable. The cost question my MD spoke to, the issue of people keep saying your cost is big, your cost is that. It is true. But the good thing is that as we automate, as we digitize, the initial investments are high, but you tend to see massive savings in terms of headcount, in terms of manual processes that are taken away. And that is an area we've done so well on. With the DDEP happening, I've put a small comment there that we reprioritize after DDEP. Why did we have to do that? We have set in motion certain processes, certain programs we were to follow. But because of DDEP and its implications for us, especially for our capital, we had to reprioritize. That reprioritization entailed retweaking our risk appetite. And so if you see my numbers, you see my loans grow, you see my investment grow, don't be surprised that, why is GCB still growing loans? It is very deliberate, and I will give you a lot more when we get there. So far, it's been good for us. This is just some of the significant transactions we did recently. It's just for information purposes. That tells you that the bank is placed to work with partners, even outside of the country, to generate the kind of return that is required to pay ourselves, to pay the investors, to pay the right taxes to the government to help our country develop. So on the macro side, our growth to decline from 3.5% in 2022 to 3.0 in 2023. What are the reasons cited for this? Yes, financing is tight today. Rates are very high. Financing cost is very high. Again, export demand for the advanced world has been low. And finally, in terms of consumer spending, it's been very slow, especially when we mention China. So those things have led to the revision of the forecast and the GDP coming down from 3.5 in 2022 to 3.0 in 2023. Inflation is, however, projected to come down from 8.7 in 2022 to 6.9 in 2023. What are the reasons? Most of the quantitative easing that happened today, they've been sucked back. We've seen central banks raise their policy rates in response to the rising inflation that we witnessed. Again, we've also seen that the cost pass-through of the shocks are almost coming to an end. However, with the crude prices still rising, what we saw was that inflation in emerging markets and then developing economies still rose because of the pressure of the crude prices. And again, we also saw some currency pressures. We are beginning to see, even in our own country, the cedi giving way somehow. Today I was checking the rate and I was surprised where the cedi is trading with the US dollar. So those things also impacted emerging economies' inflation. But broadly speaking, headline inflation is expected to come down. In Ghana, we depend a lot on exports for our foreign currency. So one side, if the commodity prices are good, we get good effects. On the other side, because we import refined crude, when refined petroleum products, when crude oil prices go up, our export price also goes up, and that transmission mechanism tends to fuel inflation. So you have seen that from December 2022, when inflation was 54.1, we saw a bit of tapering when it came down, and then it went up again, mainly because the oil price went up. We adjusted utility prices, and they affected the Ghanaian inflation. The good thing is that the last reading of September 2023, we are seeing inflation drop from 40.1 in August to 38.1 in September. BOG's forecast is that we are likely to continue on that trajectory. On the GDP side, from first quarter 3.3, we saw it drop to 3.2 in the second quarter. How is it likely to pan out before the year ends? IMF puts it at 1.2. I've read other places that said we were likely to do about 2.5. And so this is what has mainly influenced the environment that GCB operated in. On one breath, FS occasionally gets cast. We've seen relative stability of the cedi. January was very rough, volatile. We saw sharp depreciation. Between February and September, we saw relative stability. And now we are seeing another bound of depreciation. Hopefully, that will not continue because other measures have been put in place. And if that happens, what it does is that it gives a lot of stability. You can predict. Businesses are better placed to plan. When you see that level of volatility, it doesn't bode well for anybody. And so that is it. In terms of rates, because of all that I've said, where inflation was, rates have been very high. Will rates continue to be high or will they come down? A lot will depend upon how the inflation situation pans out. If inflation continues to rise because of the targeting that the central bank is doing, I'm inclined to think rates will go up. But on the horizon, the indication is that inflation is likely to come down. And if it does come down, we believe that rates fall in tandem with the rate of inflation. So specific to the financial performance, which I won't spend so much time on because I want to give a lot of time for Q&A so that you understand. The bank has grown, no doubt about that. You see, year to date, our balance sheet has grown on the back of strong deposit mobilization. Earlier, I was talking about using digital and also driving revenues across all the business lines, corporate, commercial, retail. We've seen growth in all these businesses by way of their deposits, and especially CASA deposits, which fuel the growth in the bank's balance sheet. With that level of deposits, then accorded us the opportunity to be able to invest either by way of loans or by way of investment in government securities. The rise in investment in government securities today, there's not much active trading when it comes to bonds. It's mainly on the short end of the curve, which is the treasury bills. And so the point I made earlier, we tweaked our risk appetite statement because of what we learned and because the macroeconomy is challenged. The good thing is that much as the economy is challenged, there are pockets of opportunities. There are pockets of industries and sectors that are still doing well. And so if you screen and look carefully, you are likely to find some companies you can help, some commercial entities, some SMEs you can help. And in that process, you help build the economy, you also help generate the right return for your shareholders. And so that explains why you see my loans graph growing. We are not reckless. We are very mindful of the times. And then when I get to my NPL slide, you see that it is not only GCB, the whole industry is suffering from that. But one thing is that we cannot stop doing business because times are hard. If you stop doing business, what it means is that everything will grind to a halt. We cannot support the nation to come out of the doldrums. And for that reason, it's about strengthening our risk appetite, strengthening our risk framework, making sure we scrutinize well, look for the right opportunities and tap. That is what explains the growth in the balance sheet. So on the back of that growth in the balance sheet, our income also grew. Operating income, 38%. Costs grew, but a lot slower than the growth in revenue. And so when you put the two together, that is the one showing us the profit, as you can see. I must say that impairment is high per our own standard. And I'll be upfront to explain that given the DDEP and the fact that government today is not seen as risk-free, hitherto provisions that were not made on government securities and treasury bills, today you have to make. And so as you saw the investment in government securities grow, its attendant impairment also grew. The good thing is that these are very short-term instruments. Yes, DDP has happened, but we believe government will turn around. The situation will not remain the same. And so government will pay. These are accounting provisions we've made. And so the ones on government securities will reverse. The real issue is on loans, but you see that between December and the third quarter, there has been an improvement. Broadly speaking, because of the challenged environment, you see that some customers are struggling, as a matter of fact. And so NPLs in the industry are rising. The good thing for GCB is that you see that our situation has not been that worse than previously, because already we had a high NPL, and relative to the third quarter, you see that it's not deteriorated that much. In between, for those of you who read our first half results, you have seen that our NPL was shooting up very high. Today, it is around 20%. We got to 22, now 20%, and we don't think it will get any worse. What we've done in this scenario is that we know the government has not concluded its discussions on the Eurobonds. We have some small amount, but what we've done is that let's take a worst case scenario impact on our books so that whatever the final memorandum situation becomes, there will not be much shock to our numbers. That is what we've done, and that explains why our impairment is high. And so it was deliberate to split the impairment between loans and government securities for better clarity for all of us. I also did speak about revenue across all the lines. And so what I'm showing you here is that net interest income continues to be the most dominant. But that said, you see that a non-funded or non-interest income, if you like it, is also growing. And so you see the chart there, fairly balanced between trading comprising FX trading, fixed income, and then other net fees and commissions, bank assurance, LCs, e-charges, all those services put under the net fees and commissions. We've seen growth across the board, and that is what we stand for, and that is what we work to achieve. So on the cost income ratio, which is one thing that gives me a lot of hope and comfort. Our cost has been high. Yes, relative to inflation, you may say that we are still not beating inflation, but we think come end of year, we can beat inflation. The loan to deposit ratio remained almost flat. And so it will be bothering your mind. Why are you still giving loans? Times are hard. NPLs are rising. The point is, if you don't give loans, what will you do? And so what I said, rather what type of loan you give, what type of client you give to, what type of sector you give to. We still see opportunities in the retail space. Households still need support in various forms. And so if our assessment criteria indicates that you can pay, we will definitely support you. So we look for these pockets of opportunities, for which reason the growth in the deposits has also led to the growth in the loans, and for which reason the loan deposit ratio remains where it is. The capital adequacy ratio, my MD spoke about it. What you see is the one with the forbearance. And so with the forbearance from the central bank, we are 17% above the industry average. But that is not GCB's position. GCB over the years will build buffers on our capital. And that explains why sooner than later we'll come to the market to seek your support for that. Yes, so the NPL story, I've said a lot about it that we've covered. I think last year I did tell the House that we had 2 transactions that had become difficult that we're working with the promoters to cure. Those 2 transactions today, they are not fully cured, and they constitute more than 60% of this NPL situation. In between, we've had one client that had offered government a service, which had fallen over, and the movements in the FX for a few of the clients have shown in this NPL situation. So the situation is not a situation we like, but I can assure you it's not a deteriorated situation. The client that offered government service, we are confident by end of year that situation will have been fully resolved. So market indicators, and I was torn between taking this slide off and keeping it. I said, let me keep it and we speak about it. Just be frontal about the issues. People ask me, why is it that GCB shares are trading below book? I said, I can't tell. I can't explain. Why? We keep performing. We're paying good dividends. In fact, 2021, we paid 50 pesos per share. And so we show strong financial results. We pay good dividends. And these are the 2 things that investors look out for. Yes, I know investors will compare to fixed income returns. But over the years, our price to book has always remained below 100. And so maybe as we do the Q&A, if somebody has a view on why it is like that, I'll be more than happy to take it on board. But the fact remains that we are undervalued. You make a lot of money by investing in GCB shares because we perform. Our fundamentals remain strong. The future looks bright for us, and yet our price to book is not the best. And maybe MD will help me. As in Abna, because she works with investors as well. Any fees is pitch that we can leverage on. But what we can promise you as management and the board is that we'll continue to work harder. We'll continue to generate the right results. Once those results are generated, we'll pay good dividends. But the rest I'll leave for market players to give me feedback. And so our share price has not been the greatest. Price to book has not been the greatest. And why is that the case? Maybe GCB is not alone because the financial stock index year to date has lost 14%. That notwithstanding, banks have published. We've seen banks' results. Why is that the case? There appears to be a disconnect between performance of banks in Ghana and how the stock market views them. I do appreciate that yields on fixed income securities are high, and also foreigners play an active part on the market. And so when they are not coming on stream, it tends to delay things. There are a number of times also you get to know that some investors, they buy shares and put it under lock and key. They don't care what is going on. And so there's no activity on their side. These are some of the reasons I have picked. But I'll be more than happy to hear from you, Wadam MD, so that we situate our story better and do the right things for our share price to appreciate. So I've said enough, and I said I'll give time for us to focus on the Q&A. So if you've not gotten anything at all from all that I've said, just keep these things in mind. Over the years, and especially over the last 9 months, GCB has performed. No doubt about that. Our numbers attest to that. And we are confident that we'll stay on that trajectory into the foreseeable future. How are we going to do that? We are going to do that through the 3 pillars: revenue growth and profitability, operational excellence, our people and talent. We'll do that investing in the right resources of the bank to deliver the results. Also, we'll continue to look for avenues to improve our revenue, to diversify the revenue sources, forge the right partnerships with fintechs, international organizations, and all other institutions that are relevant for us to remain relevant in the lives of our customers. We forge the right partnerships to improve and diversify our revenue sources. Again, when it comes to operational excellence, I said a lot about some of the things being done. It is not the end. We'll keep reinvesting. We'll keep honing our operational tools and systems just so that we are lean and agile to be able to respond to clients in the right measure and on the right time. So these things are the things I want you to keep in mind, that GCB will continue to perform. Trust us, count on us. If there's anything that bothers your mind, if you're an investor, if you're a broker, feel free to reach out to us. There are times people say a lot of things about us that are not true. We are open. Feel free, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to give you all the details you need to have to help you make an informed decision. We'll continue on the trajectory of the digital agenda. Automation will continue, just so that we bring convenience to our clients wherever they may be, and they continue to remain our client. So these are the things I want you to go away with, that GCB is there. 70 years of solid performance will keep on that trajectory going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fram. That was a very comprehensive and elaborate presentation. And I could tell from the clapping that people have really appreciated all the things that you have shared. So thank you very much. So I want to I apologize to Mr. Edu. Please forgive me. I think I skipped your name when I was doing the acknowledgements. So please pardon me. A small fear. My boss is here. And also, I also want to acknowledge this is Joyce Esibuachi, who is our head of listing and new products. And then Mr. Augustine Simmons, who is our head of Ghana Fixed Income Market. So, and I must say that today's online attendance is a record attendance in the history of the exchange. So, this a big thumbs up to the GCB team, and then the GSC team. I think the partnership has been amazing. We have about 488 people who have joined us online for this program. Great. So as Mr. Fram said, the floor is now open for questions, comments, and he decided to make his presentation snappy so that we can have more time to really engage. Every question on your mind, those of us who are watching online or listening online, and those of us who are here in person, any question on your mind, the Mr. MD and the team are here to respond to all those questions or any comments or concerns that you have. So I think the floor is now open. Whilst we wait to get those online, I'm sure those of us here in person, our media, I know you are here, and brokers, broker dealers, and all the other market participants. I know some of us are here. So please, the floor is now open. If you have any question, we'll give you a microphone and then you can ask your question. Okay, so there's a hand up. Can you please get him a microphone? Please, you mention your name and your organization.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. MD. Thank you, Mr. Fram. The presentation has been very great. A few months ago, I'm Charles Martin, member of the Association of Shareholders, and a shareholder of GCB. We met a few months ago to agree and to vote in favor of raising additional capital. As shareholders, we thought that by now would have seen that our bank would have hit the ground, and we are, calling in for the fund so that in improving the deal making and everything, and by now, probably the profits we are seeing would have been more bigger than it is. And so we are wondering what is happening, what is delaying the process, because since we met till date, nothing has really come up in the news or wherever for you to know that something is really happening. And that said, I want to touch on the issue of the share price. The share price, I believe, DDEP was part, the domestic debt exchange was part because the Bank of Ghana decided that no bank should pay dividend irrespective of your performance. And dividend is a marker for price movement. And so when you fail to give us our dividends, then you are telling us that we should look at other ways of getting returns, because if I put my money in the fixed income for a year, I would have the raise that was hovering, I would have made 30% on my investment. If I put my money in GCB and for a year I have zero. And so you are telling me, Jack, if you are smart, exit. So I think that, like we said, the Bank of Ghana should really look at in managing banks, in ensuring that the financial ecosystem is sound. They should put in rather measures that if you qualify, if you can meet those criteria, then you can go ahead and pay. But when you raise that blanket check, do not pay, I think it's worrying, and it's worrisome. Again, also, I have been thinking aloud. I find that our big brother Nigeria is in Ghana. You can count more than 10 banks, more than three banks from Nigeria in Ghana. I'm wondering, can't Ghanaians also return the competition? Can't we go to Nigeria, open a branch there, one or two? So GCB, are we considering that as a bank? Because I know it's a very strong market. And I'm wondering why Ghana is not returning the competition. We have more than 3 of them here. I can mention of Access, there's Zenith, there's GT, and Ghana hasn't returned the competition. I think that going forward, that's my thinking aloud. We should begin to look at that, and let's see GCB taking the lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. There's a 3-in-1 question, so I'm sure they will respond to all the 3 questions before we go to the other ones.
Okay, let me take your last question first. Yes, indeed. With the coming in of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the future is going to be for banks who have a footprint across the continent, as the continent begins to look like one market. So you are definitely right. And GCB is looking at various options, not necessarily Nigeria. We will do what is in the interest of our shareholders and where value is better created. So it may not be stopping over in Nigeria immediately, but we will do what is in our interest. But I think it's a useful comment. It's come up before. You know, your bank used to be in I think Lome, Togo, and also in the UK. Okay, strategies changed over time, and we are not there today. But it looks like a Sankofa could be possible. So it's a comment that is well taken. The share price issue, we agree with you. Would love to pay dividend. Would love to return something back to our shareholders, but the circumstances. I believe it was a difficult decision for banks' boards to make, for Bank of Ghana themselves to make. But the interest of getting the banks back on track and recovering quickly, that challenge had to be borne by all of us. But we'll work hard to ensure that we make Bank of Ghana comfortable so that we can pay our shareholders something interesting in terms of dividend. On the capital raise, I think I'll leave it for my experts to talk about. They have their finger on the pulse and are in that process. But it's well on track. But I'll just leave it for Socrates and Samedu to share some light on that.
Thank you, Charles. So the issue around the capital raise has been about the processes. I can confirm that we've gone through all the processes, and before the year ends, you see us come out in terms of what is to be done. So be rest assured, we've been working with all the relevant stakeholders to come to that level. Thank you.
And just to say, it's such an important issue that we have to get it right. You know, the approvals we got and what we have to do. So it's taking a bit of time. I do appreciate that. But we need to get all the approvals in place, regulatory approvals, get the right people, go through an open tender process and all of that. And I think we are well on track within the time we promised to deliver. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think there's a follow-up question here that is connected to the additional capital raising. So this from one of our participants online, Edna Hunu. She's asking, please explain the need to raise additional capital when you have a decent level of retained earnings.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So,
yeah. Thank you, Edna. If you listened to me carefully, I did indicate that the capital adequacy ratio I showed was with forbearance. What is capital adequacy ratio? Capital adequacy ratio shows the amount of capital that a bank has to absorb risks when they crystallize. There are rules around how much capital adequacy ratio a bank should have. In Ghana, before DDEP, it was 13%, and GCB was hovering around 19-20. And then with the DDEP, because of the significant impairments that banks took, most banks had their capital adequacy ratio fall below 10. And for GCB Bank, we are below 9 as of today. And so if we have to operate at the level that is acceptable to the regulator, first and foremost, before forbearance, we should be at 13. And 2, you have your strategy to execute. If you need the required resources to execute those strategies, then you also need to raise capital. And so why we are raising the capital is that, yes, there are retained earnings, but they are not sufficient to take us to the level we want to be, or we have to be. We have to be because we are not meeting the regulators minimum, and we want to be because we have a strategy to execute. So when we put those two together, there's a need for the bank to raise capital, and time is of the essence. If BOG will give longer period for the forbearance, maybe it won't come to anybody, but there's a short time within which the forbearance is working, and so we need to raise capital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just add to what Socrates said, okay? Because the earlier we raise capital, the better for GCB Bank. We are the largest indigenous bank in Ghana by far, and we have a role and responsibility to the economy of Ghana. If we dilly-dally with capital and don't go in to raise capital, we will not be able to do the things we want to do. The market will move ahead of us, and we will lose our leading position to the competition. And you know for sure that for an economy to develop, it's the indigenous banks who will develop the economy. Huh? It is me and you who will develop this economy. So the earlier GCB raises sufficient capital to do the things that it needs to do and grow and build a strong economy, the better for all of us.
Thank you. Please, do you have any questions from our in-person audience? Okay, so there's a hand up here. There's a hand up here in front here. If you can get him the microphone.
Thank you very much. Mr. Afram and MD, GCB and GSC. My question
is your name and then the institution you are coming from.
My name is David Tete from Young Investors Network.
Okay.
I want to ask the question around impairment and also unforeseen losses that may occur to the bank over the years. I want to ask what measures and implications are you putting in place to solve impairment issue according to IAS 36, and also for the losses that you may incur as investors can be also affected in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I'll add one more question.
A very technical man. I'll give you a technical man. IAS 38. Technical.
Okay, so Mr. Admarco and the rest of us here and those online. So the Young Investor Network is an organization that is committed to running youth investor education. And they have actually partnered the GSC to roll out investment educational programs across institutions in Ghana, the universities, the secondary schools, and all that. So that's how come they are asking those technical questions. Okay, so let me add one more question, and then the exec team can respond. So this is a question from an anonymous attendee. So thank you very much for the presentation. Given the bank's openness to selective growth in loan book amidst the elevated credit risk, where do you see NPLs in the short to medium term? And what would be an ideal NPLs ratio for the bank? So we'll take these two questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. David, so to the point of the impairment and then IAS 38, 39, sorry. So let me add IFRS 9 so that it's complete. So what happens normally is that you have sector, you have macro. There are several indicators that come together to determine. For instance, if you are to give credit to, say, an operator in a telco, you have determined the loss given default in that sector. But more importantly, so when you give that credit to that operator in the sector, the loss given default and others will apply to arrive at your impairment. I said in the presentation that impairment is a provision. So the most important thing is that what kind of client are you giving that credit to? Would that client be able to pay back? If the assessment criteria points to the fact that the client can pay back, yes, that temporary provision of impairment should not stop you from taking a credit decision of supporting the client. If you recall what MD said, we have a number of youth who have completed university, no jobs. Who provide the jobs? Is the businesses. And so if you are going to say times are hard, we won't support anybody, everything will grind to a halt. And so the selection of key supportable businesses will continue. What we do is that on the basis of risk return, do we stand to make a better return versus the risk we are taking? Is the client capable of paying back? If the answer is yes, we'll take the decision. There will be temporary rise in the impairment, but as the client pays back, that impairment goes up. So in terms of assuring investors, what we do, I have my chief risk officer here. He will take you to school and give you a hell of time before he supports you. And I always tell him, you are doing a fantastic job, just to make sure those of us who are taking the credit decision, we take the right decisions in the best interest of the institution. So yes, times are hard, but I tell you there are still pockets of opportunities we need to capitalize. If you don't do that, there will be no value. Mind you, inflation is at a certain level. Assuming we even made, for argument's sake, 500 million last year, and today you make the same 500 million. Purchasing power-wise, the money is nothing. Denominate it in dollars, the money is nothing. So we have to work harder, and the only way we can do that is to take advantage of some of these opportunities. If we are scared by impairment, we'll do nothing. And even the investment in us will go down the drain. So that be assured. And then the openness. The question of openness and where we see our NPLs end in the year. I can assure you we don't expect to go worse than we are. And that selection process, the work of the CRO and all that I've indicated. Again, it is not just new decisions, even the legacy ones. Key actions are on all of them. Serious recovery efforts are underway to correct them. In some cases, we work with the client to restructure. The rules of the game will require that much as if restructured, impair it. Wait until performance. So until that time comes, it is still an impaired or non-performing facility. But then when you travel time and the client comes good, it goes off that bucket. So we are open to credit. We are open to selective credit. We are open to selective sectors. If we don't do that, our balance sheet will shrink. The investment you have in us over time will be nothing to write home about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe to add to the point about the target or the aim level we would like to have for NPL. I think essentially we all know the importance of keeping NPLs low. We need to provide some predictability to our profitability, and therefore it's terribly important. But I think also NPL depends on the economic situation. Like the NPL environment today, in today's environment, is different from what it was maybe a couple of years ago. So all those sorts of things would affect the NPL level. But with regards to an aim or a target is to be below the market average. So that's our target. So it's something that we work towards on a consistent basis to ensure we are better than the market. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edu. Before I go to the next question, I want to acknowledge the Chamber of Corporate Trustees. They are fully represented online. And then, of course, being led by the Executive Secretary, Mr. Thomas Esu. So we want to appreciate them. And then we know that we'll be getting some questions from them as well. Okay, so please go ahead with your question.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Selassie from ThinkUp Securities. So during Mr. Fram's presentation, he mentioned that they don't understand why their stock price is not moving. I would like to make this passionate appeal to the exchange and also to GSE and to GCB. Sorry, quarterly reports without notes is difficult to interpret for us, the brokers, and hence, if you make any advice, the client will take it as speculation because there's no understanding behind the figures. So if GCB can take the lead to attach notes to even quarterly reports to make the reports very understandable, and we'll be able to do the TTM valuations and also give quarter-on-quarter valuations and recommendations to clients. I think with this, interest in stocks will go high and prices will reflect what it should be. Thank you.
With your kind permission, I was once a shareholder again. I want to make a quick suggestion from an observance I made. In Nigeria, there's a board member, Tony Elomelu. I don't know if I'm mentioning him right. UBA. He saw that the company's share price was below book price. And having so much faith in the business, came out to say, I'm going to buy so much of this shares of the company I'm a board member of. And that also triggered a certain enthusiasm, it created a certain joy for people to now go into that particular stock. So I'm driving towards the point where I think that our governance laws is a bit problematic with the number of shares board members, MDs can have. There should be the major, in most cases, driver of interest in the stock. I believe that if they are allowed to buy as many as they wish to buy, and that would also create that enthusiasm within us to also follow suit. I think that we should look at that as well, because in other markets, one person's decision drives share price. Within 3 months, that made over 100% in capital gain. So I think that if it's possible, if it's workable, we should begin to look at that, so that MDs, board members who have so much faith in the company also demonstrate that by putting their money in big time to let others also follow. Sorry,
David, thanks for your suggestion. Just to add that broadly, we are looking at a bank, our entire investor relations strategy, and these are some of the options that we are considering or looking at. But the point is very, very critical that keeping engagement with our stakeholders is very, very critical, which we would intensify. I think an earlier speaker, David, you raised that as well. We'll continue to do that. But at the heart of all of these things, and as a board and management team and staff, the stronger focus on our performance, accelerating our revenue growth becomes very, very critical. We've got strong fundamentals, Mr. Fram shared, around our CASA, which is so critical in an uncertain environment like this. So continuing to grow our CASA, our transaction business, will give us that resilience in our balance sheet. Last but not the least, in the light of all these developments, we've reset our risk appetite and will continue to allocate capital to areas that will deliver superior returns to our clients. So good point you raised there.
Thank you. Yes, so I guess before, who wanted to ask a question? There's a question online that is related to what Charles just mentioned. So this is a question from Poho Efinam. So she's saying, from the annual financial statement of 2022, it is only one director who owns shares in the bank, apparently 580 shares. If the other directors, including Mr. Afram, a very interesting question, believe so much in the company and are encouraging people to buy more shares because it is undervalued. Why is it that they don't have shares in GCB? So it's related to what, Charles? Very interesting question.
I'm not too sure whether it's 100% fact that none of the directors have shares. Maybe your directors sitting here are so poor they have insignificant shares. So when it's even calculated, it reads as 0. But I'm sure some of the directors have shares in GCB. But I think the point Sinam is trying to drive is that charity begins at home. Following on the back of what Tommy Elumelu has been doing in Nigeria, to see that people affiliated with GCB, particularly the management and leadership of GCB, must show interest. And I'm sure when the rights issue opens, you'll see shareholders of GCB who are also staff and management lead the way by taking up their rights. But it's a good point. Thank you.
Thank you, please.
So just to add, can you please give him the mic?
Yeah, just to add to the point around we having faith in our bank, is to say that staff through our union have so much stake in the bank's shares, and it's over 1%, and that's significant. So we actually believe in our bank, and we'll continue investing in the bank. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So my MD, Ms. Abna Mua, will make some comments.
Okay. Thank you. And indeed, charity begins at home. So under our laws, directors and staff of companies are allowed to buy shares in their banks. There are no restrictions other than disclosure. When you gave the example of what happened in Nigeria, that individual announced that, and because they are an insider party, they informed the markets that they were going to be buying shares in the company, and which is what a public company needs to do, because an insider buying shares, by their position as a director on the board, the whole market needs to know before they go ahead and execute these. So we have very similar rules in Ghana that enhances disclosure pre-acquisition and then disclosure once you reach various benchmarks. Again, SNIT is a significant shareholder in GCB, and I believe SNIT also sits on the board of as directors or nominates directors to the board. I think there's a very, very important point the investor community is making. And Jerry, it goes back to highlighting the fact that the Chamber of Corporate Trustees and the trustees in Ghana are on the call today. That's at the end of the first quarter of this year. Our pension funds held about 51 billion Ghana cedis of assets under management. 5-1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and SNITs. We've seen how active SNIT was or used to be on the equities markets. And through our engagement with the NPRA, with the corporate trustees, we are also encouraging them to increase their stakes on the equities market and to also make representations to serve on the boards of these companies as well. We've received very favorable feedback from them. So corporate trustees, fund managers, you've heard GCB is coming to the market to raise capital. This is an opportunity for us to support this company. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Abna. There's a question here from our online participants. Please, are you able to provide some more specific guidance on the bank's Eurobond exposure? and impairment taken on the exposure. A range guidance may suffice where specific amount is not possible. Thank you.
Ably ask my Deputy Managing Director Finance. This question, I'm sure, is directed to him. But on a more serious note, the Minister of Finance was in Marrakesh a few weeks ago at the World Bank IMF meeting, and he made some pronouncements to the markets about what to expect in negotiations around the Eurobonds. We have taken his comments very seriously, as one would expect, and based on his comments, we have provided for the Eurobonds that we hold. I must say we were a much more bigger investor on the domestic bond market than on the Eurobonds market. However, we have still used his guideline to the market to take some impairments, and that has been factored in. It is to that extent that my colleague on my right, DMD Finance, is confident that impairment situation should not significantly worsen towards the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Any more questions from our in-person attendees? Any more questions? Okay. So there's a hand up. Okay. Charles, before we come to you, let's hear David and what.
Okay, thank you very much. For some time back, investors have lost interest in the investment space because you offer investment banking activities for your bank. With the issue of DDEP, what measures are you putting in place to bring back investment resilience and to also let them get more trust your investment offerings so that you can expand your market share? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's add the question from Charles.
Thank you. For clarity, I just wanted to find out, and because I haven't really checked, and for the benefit of probably the masses, what is the earnings per share at NQ3? What's the earnings per share and then the profit so far? Thank you.
Safram, can I add one more question? So this is a question from I Trust Nanakwesi Apia Sechi from Facebook. I recommend GCB should have their branches here in the United States, especially New York City. If GCB wants to raise capital, these are the untapped markets. And then he's also recommending that also work on your online banking. It doesn't cater for those of us outside. It's difficult to utilize the online platform to transact business when you are outside.
I think your question was centered around how do we drive investments generally. Maybe. It's a different story. No, I think that. That's a very important question, how we drive investments going forward and what the offering is for a lot of our clients and investor base in the country. We continue to lead the space in offering for investors who are looking for bank risk, bank specific risk, and then we have a full array of investments. If you look onto our new app, for instance, you can find the opportunities to invest in various and take up various GCB bank risk. I remember sometime in June last year, we were the number one primary market distribution for a lot of securities in the Ghanaian market. And that role we still take quite seriously, and we continue to drive that. There's been enhanced interaction and improvement with our investment banking arm. And the CEO is also in the room with us today to see how we can diversify the offering to clients. So essentially, in summary, I would say it's taking our partnerships with the market seriously, including your good.
Exactly. So 8:32. 8:32. Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please.
About customer issues in the US. Look, we take our customer experience very seriously. So I think the gentleman, was it a gentleman?
Yes. Altrus.
Yes. How what?
Altrus.
Okay, the
Just a
person
minute.
will look into that. Okay. Okay. So apparently they've contacted him already, and they will discuss that with him to find out why that is the situation. So we'll look into that. Operating in the US, I think we'll come back to him on that one. It's an interesting proposition. Like my friend said, what are we doing in Nigeria and in Africa? And probably rightly so. It's not an impossible task, but to be honest, it's not immediately on the radar. He links it to raising capital, and he may be right in that perspective, but I don't think that we intend to be in the United States through a branch. There are other ways of tapping into people's resources and making them invest in the bank, and I think we take advantage of that. But thank you.
Thank you. So Selassie, before you ask your question, there's an anonymous attendee, or this person should have added his name. Say, please, good morning, and I'm really enjoying the program. It's a very nice program. So thanks for your compliments. Please, where can I get some of the shares to buy? So you can also go to GSC website, www.gsc.gn.com, and then go to where we have our licensed daily members or stockbrokers. You can talk to any of them and they can guide you on how you can buy your shares. That's fine. Okay, Selassie, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much. Lastly, I think the investor relations department can also help GCB by engaging, as you said, the market players, the broker dealers, some to make market for the shares, some to also help them in things like stock split, amongst others. Sometimes when the share price is too high, people are not able to buy. But when you do a stock split, instead of even paying dividend, sometimes they get more shares. And if the company has performed, you see the performance reflect on the market. And if you have maybe a triple what you held, 4 times what you held, and the market moves, you can even sell part of it and realize your
I think your point is well made. We understand what you're trying to say, and thank you for that. Good suggestion.
Okay, so I have a question from the Executive Secretary of Corporate Trust, Chamber of Corporate Trustees, Thomas. He said there was no clear time of capital raise, and if there could be more clarity, that would be fine with me. Is it through right issues?
Yeah, Tom, yes, it will be right issues, as you might have read from the press at the AGM what we went for. So it will be right issue. The issue of timing, I did indicate that I'm not going into details on that, but sooner than later, as I responded to Charles, that will come out and everybody will know where things stand. So yes, rights issue, but the issue of timing will come back sooner than later for you to follow.
Thank you. So we have two more questions from our online audience. So the first one is, I associate myself with an earliest request to provide some notes to the quarterly financials to help analysts better engage investors on behalf of the listed firms. And maybe GNC could also help in this regard by advising other listed companies to do same. Okay. And the other one is, please, what is the position of GCB's capital adequacy ratio again? I overheard the MD saying it's around 10%. However, I'm seeing 14% in their 9th month 2023 report. If you can please shed some light on it.
Thank you, Jerry. So what you see in the published numbers is the one with forbearance. That one is 17. And then the one without forbearance, which is non-published, which MD spoke to, that is below 10%, that is 8.11. As at now. And that is the one, the more reason why we are raising capital to bring it to the minimum of 13 and then build a buffer to help us execute our strategy. So why the person, I think it's not Thomas, why he read in the published numbers is the one with forbearance. That was 17, not 14. 14 is the industry average that you might have stick with him.
Understand?
Yeah. Thank you, Socrates. And thank you to our colleague for asking the question. I think also it's important that we understand that I think the Bank of Ghana's forbearance for capital adequacy for banks, I think over the next 2 years or so, is 10%. Okay.
It's actually 13.
The forbearance is 13%.
Yeah, the new one, they are taking it back to the 13.
Ah, okay. So it's going back to 13.
Yes,
Then, okay. All right, then that is right.
Any more questions? So maybe we'll take the last two questions and then we will wrap up and bring the session to an end. I'm giving those here in person. Our media people. Any question? Okay. David. David, please let's give David the microphone. I'm sure this is going to be the last question. Please, I hear there's a hand down. A lady, okay. Please, your name and your institution, and then you can ask your question.
Okay, so please, my name is Yabo Achao Brokerage and Fee. I'm from Young Investors Network. And then I wanted to ask, as a student who is coming up, or do you have any investment, let's say, advice for me to take home?
Investment advice.
That is a brilliant question. And I remember at your age as well, I sought to find those answers. But you'd find with a lot of decisions that has to be made, you need a lot more information to make a more effective assessment. I would advise that you engage GCB Capital, our arm that will help you make that decision, because there's a lot more information required to be able to build the direction in which you should put your investment. That's a really good thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David, I'm sure your question will be the last one.
Okay, thank you very much. To Mr. Afro, in your analysis, when you are making a presentation, you said you give out more loans in order to raise more capital as well. Please, what is your interest income as at September 2023, the third quarter? Yes, please. Interest income.
Are you talking net interest income or interest income?
Net
Gross?
interest income.
Okay. Net interest income was 2 billion. Actually, 2083 billion.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. About the net
Yeah.
I don't see the income you've raised so far in order when you started lending out loans to your customers and all that, and now you'll be able to expand within the coming years and also the future years. Amen.
Thank you very much, our in-person audience and our online audience, and thanks for your time. We will now take the final words from the MD of GCB Bank PLC, and then we'll take the closing remarks from the Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange. So, Mr. Adama, please, your final words.
Well, I think it's been a very useful. I think it's been a very useful session with all participants today. We have shared our vision, we've shared our performance over the last 9 months. It's been a very strong performance, in my opinion. But like I said, it's not about being a strong performance or not being a strong performance. It goes to show you the resilience of the bank. It's more. What's more important for me is that I think that the bank has stabilized after the debt exchange program, and we are now in a recovery mode. And we need to pay attention to those key things we've been discussing this morning. We need to pay attention particularly to controlling the impairment, controlling the NPLs, controlling our cost, making sure that compliance, risk, and governance is well embedded. Our risk appetite has changed, our risk framework has changed, and lots of changes happening in the banking sector and in the industry. So GCB is very well positioned. I think we'll end the year well. We'll still find ways and means to intervene in the needs of our customers, making sure that our retail, our commercial, and our corporate customers are still well served within this difficult time. And we are very sure and confident that should interest rates, inflation come down, it will create a better environment for all of us to do the business of banking in a more healthy environment. So look up with optimism for GCB. We will raise our capital. We will get back to winning ways. We will remain a dominant and strong bank into the future. And hopefully, those of you who haven't are not shareholders in GCB, when the opportunity arises, I am very sure that you would. So our fortunes are tied to this country. The future is bright. Our business is strong, strong customer base, strong deposit base, well spread distribution channels, building on a very strong digital agenda. We have what it takes to dominate this market. We have what it takes to be the number one bank in Ghana, and we will work towards that. Thank you all very much for coming, and I'll ask the MD of the Stock Exchange. Thank you.
We're still in the morning. So good morning to everyone. Those online, give me a big wave. Good morning to you. It's indeed a great pleasure to have almost 500 people online and everyone in this room with us today. I have a very simple task. It's exciting to see that the market is in recovery mode. And this platform we've given to listed companies, to the investing public, to market operators assures this type of interaction that enables investors take better investment decisions. So thank you very much for joining us today. As most of you know, we have set up 3 markets to really support the Ghanaian development agenda. And the Ghanaian development agenda is both national, it's at the corporate level, and it goes down to the micro level, to the individual, creating wealth through smart investment opportunities, such as what GCB presents. So far this year, our main equity market index is up 28%. So again, another sign of stability and recovery for us. Our fixed income market, we all know, post-DDEP has struggled, but over the last 6 weeks, again, we are seeing secondary trading coming back to the market. We've actually seen companies raise capital at better pricing this year on the fixed income market than they did a few years ago. So again, another sign of investors' willingness to invest despite very challenging times. And all of that has required a very deliberate action, or a very deliberate thought process around how do we measure value? How do we measure profitability? How do we measure growth? Is growth only by charging 40% interest rates, which would result in NPLs? Or should we start defining value by another initiative the GSE put out, which is our ESG reporting manual that enables companies to tell an integrated story, that enables GCB to document how it's creating value by giving loans today at 20%, 25% below what the market inflation is saying, but saying that by giving this loan, we created X number of jobs. We did some import substitution. We created a socially cohesive organization. And it's through this, and it's the main reason for this, why the Ghana Stock Exchange went out and launched our ESG reporting guidelines last year. And I know the central bank also did the Ghana banking, sustainable banking principles. And so we call on GCB, all listed companies, and indeed the broader business community to start adopting some of these principles. So when we share our stories of growth and impact with investors, we are looking at the whole sector. The dividend investors want is financial, but it's also that we've created jobs that allows our youth to be employed. We are creating goods and services. So how we tell these stories using GSE's disclosure, ESG disclosure guidelines, we think is a great idea. There are still challenges facing the market. Key among them is how we increase the number of companies listed on our market. Today, across all our 3 markets, we have about 45 companies across board. We want to double the number of companies on the market, and we can only do that through partnership with you. So GCB Capital, we are looking forward to you putting in an application to be a licensed dealing member of the stock exchange, and together we grow and attract more companies. Look within your credit book. There are some companies that will do well with additional equity, so you can increase the loans you give them. Let's bring them to the market and work with our pension sector to diversify into this market. Thank you for your support when we're developing the CP market rules. GCB Capital played an active role presenting ideas, studies from various markets for us. So thank you very much for that. In terms of market development, many of you would have heard recently that a company called Atlantic Lithium has been approved, which has received a mining lease recently, is required to list on the stock market. So we are looking forward to welcoming them. We are looking forward to the state-owned enterprises that we've been working with over the last few years to come to market to raise capital. In terms of new products, we are working with the entire industry to bring in new services, market making. One of the stockbrokers raised that today. We are now coming up with a framework so that GCB can actually appoint a market maker. It doesn't stop you from doing that today, but more organized framework to enable you interact and take advantages in the secondary trading of your securities. Underwriting. So even as you come to the market to raise capital, you know you can come up with underwriting either as a business for yourselves or underwrite activities for your clients. Margin lending, again, another opportunity for the financial services to support with credit for people to invest in securities. Securities lending and borrowing, all of these are tools or new products we are putting out. And in fact, the market engagement has started. Last week, we held a market-wide seminar on 2 of those, and tomorrow we hold additional market-wide engagements, sharing the rules out for people's comments. So that's the state of our market. We at the GSE continue to partner with our market operators to launch digital tools. So in terms of your new app, we want to see that investors know where to go on that app to buy GCB shares, to buy other companies that are listed on the market shares. We want to see more investors use the CD Manager, use the Second Stacks platform, go on the GSE Market Watch app to see what is happening on the market, trade live also. So there are a number of digital tools and apps that investors today lying in bed can open an account and start trading on the market. So now I say thank you. GCB 70th anniversary. I think they deserve a good one. From all of us at the capital market, we say congratulations. From your listing in 1996, the first SOE to really show how the public-private partnership works and is profitable for all. And we say congratulations from all of us for that. Mr. Adomako, Mr. Afram, the rest of the executive team and all management and thousands of GCB staff, congratulations and thank you. To our participants today, 500 online and in-person plus people, thank you so much. Our LDMs, our GIFM dealers, our trustees, fund managers, investment community, our Young Investment Network, our journalists, you're all partners in the development of Ghana's capital markets. My GSE colleagues, thank you for your continuous commitment and dedication to ensure that Ghana's capital markets be a tool for transformation of our economy and our personal standing. Thank you so much for joining us today, and God bless us all.
So thank you very much, MD Ms. Amnamwa. So just a few announcements and we'll be out of here. So right after, we're going to take some pictures and it's going to go in this order. So our executives at the high table will take theirs first, and then this will be followed by the GCB team and the GSC team. And then it will be followed by GSC, GCB, and then the LDMs, licensed members. And then the same GSC, GCB, and all other invited guests. So this how the flow of the photography is going to be. And then we also have lunch packs outside. So as soon as you step out of here, you can pick your lunch pack and then you'll be sorted out. After the pictures, the media are going to interview the MD of GCB Bank PLC and also interview the MD of JSC. So these are the few announcements that we have. So on this note, on behalf of the leadership of GCB Bank PLC and the Ghana Stock Exchange, once again, big thanks to all of you for coming. Those of us in person, those online, thank you very much for your time. And we hope to see all of you soon. Thank you.
For about 3 years now.
If I can remember, it's more than 25 years.
Long time, the inception, yeah.
I think for the past 20 years.
Almost 25 good years now. 40 years now.
For the past 10 years.
A month now.
20 years.
20 years, more than 10 years.
I can't really tell the exact years. I was 18 years.
I've started with GCB when I was in the military. I was a corporal.
Since 2019.
I've been in GCB Bank for over 10 years.
With the Kaneshie Industrial Area branch, anytime I call the manager, he's ever ready to assist. I don't need to drive here.
We've had many great experiences with the staff, the branch manager as well. My father got sick a while back, and the branch manager and the staff reached out to us, made sure that his accounts and affairs were being taken care of. And frankly,
it's been lovely. I always get great customer service and everyone is very helpful to me, so I'm very satisfied with that.
I couldn't have found a better bank to work with.